Weather Center. Clouds will continue to roll in. We're going to have an overnight low of 45 with mostly cloudy skies. Tuesday is going to be cold and rainy, especially in the morning. 60% chance of precipitation, mainly before 10 a.m. Otherwise, cloudy skies and a high only getting up to 50. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. All right, here we are. We are back. You're listening to the Scoreboard here on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. Videoed, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our website, WSICnews.com. And you can call in, be a part of the show, 704-873-1400. Boy, do we have a lot to get into. It was a long weekend for a lot of people. Now, I don't know if anybody was aware, but there was a community yard sale here at WSIC on Saturday, which was officially renamed to Pat Fest in honor of Pat Shannon. So I thank everyone who came out. It was awesome to see everybody there, and we did a nice little live stream. We broadcast the home ad show live on a Saturday. It was a fun time. But also, other than that, there was, oh boy, let's see. Today is a special day, and we'll get to that. But over the weekend, let's see, we had high school football. We had North Iredell volleyball trying to get into the States. Football, hockey, college football, NASCAR. We have a championship to win next Saturday or next Sunday. Man, a lot of things going on in the sports world. But let's start with North Iredell volleyball, because I told you last week that if they won the Western bracket, they would be going to states for the 3A championship. Well, over the weekend, North Iredell did get that win. They officially are moving on to the state championship games. That will be taking place later this week. And it's honestly pretty awesome because we have a team locally here in the 3A going to, I guess they call it the Final Four for states before they play for the state championship. But they'll be taking on Kings Mountain, who was a 3 seed coming out of their division. North Iredell, the only 1 seed left in the 3A playoffs. So everybody else has at least once been an underdog, I would assume. So Kings Mountain on, that game's tomorrow. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., North Iredell taking on Kings Mountain. Winner moves on to play for a state championship. So good luck to North Iredell volleyball. We'll be rooting for you, that's for sure. Other than volleyball, we had a lot of football. We had some seasons end. So we're going to start with the seasons that ended for football. Shout out those teams. North Iredell football, their volleyball team's doing really well, but the football team not as well. They dropped their final game of the year at home against West Iredell by a score of 40-7. So a tough game to end the season on, and North Iredell not making the playoffs this year, so their season is over. You had South Iredell football. South Iredell lost their final game of the year also to Cox Mill in Concord by a final score of 31-20, and with a ending record of 2-8 after starting the year 2-2. Unfortunately, South Iredell not going to be participating in the playoffs this year. So we have that also, and then their season has just ended, and then along with that, we have West Iredell. Now we get into the juicy stuff. West Iredell beat North Iredell in the final game of the season, and that, with a conference record of 3-4, was able to just sneak them into the playoffs for the 3A. West Iredell, yes, they are in it, and you want to be in it, but they are in it as a 29 seed. So going to be a long road ahead of them if they want to make a deep run into the playoffs. But you got to make the dance to win the dance. So they'll be at Dudley on the 3rd. That game will begin at 7 o'clock this Friday. Good luck to West Iredell. And then we have the two teams a little farther south of Statesville here. You have, well, actually, we got Statesville High School. I gotta remember to talk about Statesville High School. They are 7-3 on the year. Unfortunately, lost their final game of the year at home to Hickory, who did complete the undefeated season. But even with that, Statesville was able to make the playoffs. They lock in as a pretty good seed, actually, making it a little bit better impact than West Iredell did. Statesville will be the 16 seed. Problem with that is if they do win this week, the way the brackets are, well, they have to play the 1 seed. So, like I said, you got to make the dance to win the dance. But Statesville will be taking on South Point. That game also beginning at 7 p.m. And now we get into the two teams a little bit farther south of Statesville. Lake Norman, who dropped their game against Mooresville. That was the battle of undefeated teams. It was at Lake Norman, and Mooresville took them down by a final score of 34-7. But Lake Norman, with that start to the season, going 9-0 to start the year, they made a pretty good seed in the 4A bracket here. So some teams in the area, I mean, maybe just a little bit outside of our listening range, making the playoffs, but Lake Norman makes it as a 10 seed, and they take on Independence, while Mooresville, who had, an undefeated 10-0 season, really did well this year. They blew out all of their opponents. Mooresville is going to sit as a 3 seed going into the playoffs. Now, Mooresville will be taking on A.L. Brown, who they defeated at home a couple of weeks ago by a score of 30-20. So a familiar opponent in the playoffs for Mooresville. And like I said, Lake Norman, they take on Independence. Those games a little bit later. Lake Norman game starting at 7:30 on Friday, while the Mooresville game starts at 7. And one other team that I want to shout out here, it's my old high school, that being Pine Lake Prep. Well, Pine Lake went ahead and made the playoffs themselves. How about it? So congratulations to Pine Lake. They went 7-3 this year. They dropped their last 2 games of the year, and the last game of the year, not even close, dropping that one 58-15. So a tough way to end the season, but they did have a game against Winston-Salem Prep where they dropped 62, and not to mention the first game of the year where they dropped 66. So Pine Lake making the playoffs, so congratulations to them. Yay! They will be at Burns to take on that team in the first round of the playoffs. Going to be a tough one for Pine Lake. They go in as a 20 seed, so not the easiest road, as I always say, for those lower seeds. But you got to make it to win it. So congratulations to everybody whose season has ended. And we will continue to track these teams as we move through the playoffs. And tomorrow, North Iredell Volleyball, Final Four game. And if they win, they're going to play for a state championship. We got a lot of show left here and a lot of things to cover. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me here. If you want to call in, 704-873-1400. That is the phone number. You're listening to The Scoreboard here on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. We'll be back after this.
Keep it right here. There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way from the new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Thanks to everyone who came out to the WSIC yard sale in Statesville. It was so much fun to celebrate with the world-famous Pat Shannon and the entire community. Love bluegrass music? Chatham County Line is coming to Kane Center for the Arts Friday night. Buy your tickets before they sell out. canearts.org. Chatham County Line, this Friday night. Doors open at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8. canearts.org. The 20th Annual Pumpkin Fest is this weekend in downtown Statesville. Starting at 10 a.m., come out to downtown Statesville for Pumpkin Fest, a full day of fun for the entire family. Pumpkin Fest, downtown Statesville, Saturday from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. For more info, visit downtownstatesville.com. Santa is coming to town. Schedule your time to take pictures with Santa at Birkdale Village. Spots are limited and must be scheduled in advance. Santa will be at Birkdale between November 19th and Christmas Eve. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from a professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit birkdalevillage.com. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays now through November 19th. Time travel to a land of legends. Jousting knights, mermaids, fairies, dragons. Oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last. Don't miss it! The Carolina Renaissance Festival is sponsored by Sunbelt Rentals for all your equipment rental needs. Equipment service guaranteed. Huzzah!
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. As you head through the evening, the clouds will continue to roll in. We're going to have an overnight low of 45 with mostly cloudy skies. Tuesday is going to be cold and rainy, especially in the morning. 60% chance of precipitation, mainly before 10 a.m. Otherwise, cloudy skies and a high only getting up to 50. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Breaking news, expert analysis, and the stories that matter most, all in one place.
I totally acknowledge seeing flames is a scary situation.
WSIC News Talk Now.
Join your friends from Oswald Baptist Church in Troutman, Sunday mornings at 8:30 on WSIC. Be informed and inspired with teachings from the Word of God by Pastor Wesley Morris. Sunday mornings at 8:30 on WSIC.
Now, more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, we are back here on the Scoreboard, second segment of the day. 704-873-1400. That is the phone number for the studio if you have something you'd like to talk about. I don't want to bring the mood down too much, but there's a situation that I wanted to talk about just to at least mention it. There is a former NHL player by the name of Adam Johnson who is playing overseas in a European professional hockey league. Well, there was an incident a few days ago on ice where there was a skate blade that got a little bit high, and unfortunately, he got caught in the neck with that skate blade, and unfortunately, because of that, he ended up passing away. So Adam Johnson, a former NHL player, he played for the Penguins a couple of years ago at the age of 29 as a result of an on-ice incident with a skate blade getting up near the neck area. He unfortunately passes away, and that's just a really unfortunate because I can't think of any way that these professional hockey teams can put some kind of a guard around your neck because, I mean, it's a skate blade. They are sharp. So cuts happen. And we saw it in the NHL a few days ago with an NHL player taking a skate blade about a couple of centimeters away from the eye. Incredibly lucky that it didn't catch him in the eye. Got some stitches. He's all black and blued, but he's okay. I don't know. And I feel like eventually, just like the NHL mandated helmets, the NHL is going to mandate full cages. The visor can only do so much. And I don't know what you do about the neck area. I don't know if they come up with a pad that goes there. It's a very weird area to try and have to wear a pad because, you have to be able to move your neck, turn your neck, and it gets, if you're against the boards, you're getting squished up into those boards. So I don't know what the NHL is going to do about this. I don't think they're going to really do anything right now, as this wasn't something that happened in the NHL. But they did take notice, and they held multiple moments of silence because he is a former NHL player. So I don't know if there's going to be any kind of changes to anything in the future to try and prevent this, because it's not the first time. And as unfortunate as it is and as unlucky as it is, if nothing's done about it, it's not going to be the last time. We've seen this time and time again. There was a high school player a few years ago in Connecticut. Same situation. He also lost his life. The most famous one from, I don't even know, the 70s or the 80s, whatever it was. Clint Malarchuk, the goaltender, taking the skate blade to the neck. And the only reason he was able to walk away from that or come back from that is there was somebody in the stands who was able to jump over the boards and pinch off the artery and keep him alive until they were able to get it sewed up. So this is something that happens. And I know it's kind of tough to talk about, and it's a little bit of a graphic subject because we're talking about a skate blade to the neck. And it's not fun. It's not something that anybody wants to see. And obviously it can wind up in tragedy. So I just wanted to mention that and say, I know this situation is something that occurred. I don't know how they would ever keep this from happening again unless we go some kind of like a headdress, or I'm not really sure what the NHL or what these hockey leagues would do, but I did want to at least make sure that I shouted that out. Carolina Hurricanes, though, we're going to stay on the hockey subject, are currently doing okay. Starting in the first 9 games of the year, they've started 5-4-0 with 10 points, 2 points behind the New York Rangers, who currently lead the Metro. Carolina having an okay year. It's early in the year. They're just starting to get their stride in. And tonight we'll have another Carolina game as they are in Philadelphia taking on the Flyers. Flyers have had an interesting start to the year after a train wreck last year. They're not having a terrible start. 8 games, 9 points, 4-3-1 to start the year. Much better than last year. And when you look at the Metro standings in general, I've talked about, I don't know if we've really talked about it too much on this show because, hockey has just started. But the Metro is probably the toughest division in hockey. And that has currently, in order, the Rangers, the Devils, the Hurricanes, the Islanders, the Flyers, the Capitals, Blue Jackets, and Penguins. Penguins currently 3-5, sitting last in the Metro. That will change. They still have Crosby. They still have Malkin. Those guys aren't just going away. You're going to hear from the Penguins before the year is over. It's going to be a tough division, and getting out to a very good start, as I've mentioned time and time again, is going to be extremely important this year. You look at the Rangers, you look at the Devils, and to an extent, the Hurricanes, very good starts to their years, but they got to keep it going. They cannot slow down because it is a long 82-game season. But we'll see what happens. I expect the Hurricanes to make the playoffs. We're going to keep you updated on their season. It's a long season, and we still got football going on, so we will make sure we give hockey the love probably over the winter and, after the Super Bowl and whatnot. There's not too much other news in the NHL that is at least worth it for this area to know about. The Hurricanes are just kind of doing their thing right now. So with that, let's at least begin our football conversation because there was a lot that happened this weekend. It was an interesting weekend. And I'm going to start with the local team, the Carolina Panthers. Everybody rejoice! We did it! We won a game! Woo! Panthers beat the Texans by a final score of 15-13. Bryce Young leading a masterful final drive of the game to kick the game-winning field goal as time expired. That drive started on the 9-yard line. 17-play drive. 6 minutes and 17 seconds, which was all the time that was left on the clock. 58 yards. They started at the 9, and it ends with a Eddie Pinheiro 23-yard field goal for the Panthers' first win of the year. And this was the battle against number 1 overall pick. So in that battle, hey, Bryce Young looked like the better quarterback, honestly. CJ Stroud was hit a lot. He was hit often, and his stats reflect that. 16 of 24, only 140 yards passing. He came into that game top 5 in passing. So it's not like the Panthers defense went against a terrible passing unit. They had a really good passing unit. And although Carolina ended up giving up more sacks, the Houston sacks that they gave up and the sacks that Carolina got was huge at the time. Big third down plays, a couple of them. And look, you win the turnover battle. I know there was only one on the fumble from Houston, but it was in a big moment right after the Panthers scored. They get the ball right back and take the lead on that one. They ended up coming away with the win. And I mentioned that the first 3 games after the break were going to be the best chances for the Panthers to get their wins. That's not saying that they aren't going to get any more wins the rest of the season. I'm just saying that this week, what we just saw, and the next 2 against the Colts and the Bears are the best chances for the Panthers to find a rhythm, get in groove, and maybe, who knows, Bryce Young starts to develop. He looks better and better every week. And that's what I said we needed, especially once this season started going off the rails early and Bryce got hurt. We had to have Andy Dalton play for a little while. I said, all right, when Bryce Young comes back, get to the bye week, and then on the other side of the bye week, you can find a win and just work on improving one game at a time. And it seems like that's what the Panthers are doing. They are really focused on developing Bryce Young, and he looks like a better quarterback already than he did in the first week of the season. So good things to look forward to here in the area. There's really no reason to think that Bryce Young is going to be a bust yet. It's way too early, and he's still showing promise. So we need to give him some time. And in the offseason, maybe the Panthers get Bryce Young another weapon, maybe another wide receiver. Who knows? I mean, Jonathan Mingo kind of had a really good game. We've been waiting for him to show that he can have one of those games, and it showed. He was second in the team in receiving, 4 catches for 62 yards. Tommy Tremble caught the touchdown. I'd love to see more from him. But once again, it was Adam Thielen leading the way. And not that it's a bad thing that Adam Thielen is leading the way in receiving. It's just that he's 33 years old. How much longer? It might just be this year, maybe next year, where Adam Thielen is going to be a really good receiver and maybe not even playing in the league in a couple of years. So the Panthers really need to think about getting him some weapons and helping him out in the offseason with the offensive line. I still fully expect the Panthers to be sellers in the next couple of days. This is your reminder that the trade deadline in the NFL is tomorrow. There's already been a trade today. We will cover that. I don't want to go out of the NFL talk without mentioning some of the news that's been going on around the league. So we're coming up on our break, but stay tuned because we're going to continue to talk about football, what happened in the NFL, and maybe even get into some college football talk. Full disclosure, because of the community yard sale / Pat Fest, I wasn't able to watch much college football, but I know what happened and some Michigan details that are just absolutely bonkers. Stay with me here on the Scoreboard. We'll be back right after this.
Keep it right here. There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts. It's the shopping event of the season, the Southern Christmas Show, November 9th through 19th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Naughty or Nice, explore a nautical-inspired entrance filled with coastal Christmas charm. Plus, shop hundreds of booths to find one-of-a-kind gifts for everyone on your list. Buy tickets early and save at southernChristmasShow.com. Online tickets courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
Let's go to the Southern Christmas Show.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. As you head through the evening, the clouds will continue to roll in. We're going to have an overnight low of 45 with mostly cloudy skies. Tuesday is going to be cold and rainy, especially in the morning. 60% chance of precipitation, mainly before 10 a.m. Otherwise, cloudy skies and a high only getting up to 50. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Fall is here, and Little Shavers has the supplies you need. Wheat straw, pine needle, grass seed, pelletized line, landscape edging, and railroad cross ties. Got a deck that needs staining? Little Shavers has PPG paints and stains at prices you can afford. Fall is a great time to replace your furnace filters at Little Shavers. Get the products you need at reasonable prices from Little Shavers, 3301 Salisbury Road in Statesville. The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
Okay, I'm talking funny because I'm in the witness protection program. I have too much credit card debt and I don't want people to find me.
Okay, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about credit card debt. Right, those plastic things that we all have in our wallet. Are you in your 50s or 60s and you're still carrying around a mound of credit card debt? Wouldn't it be nice to start banking that money and save a little money for retirement down the road? We help people restructure their credit card debt all the time. We show people how they can get out of credit card debt in months, not years. Listen, you'll be carrying around credit card debt for the rest of your life unless you deal with it right now. We offer a free consultation so you can learn how you can finally wipe out your credit card debt and start saving money. Give us a free call right now.
Call Debt Solutions Network now. 866-451-3328. 866-451-3328. That's 866-451-3328.
The sweet sound of victory. I'm Anish Shroff with this Panthers update.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Open the Bojangles app and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
On Sunday, Carolina cracked the win column for the first time this season. Jansen snap, Hecker's hole, Piñeiro's kick, the Panthers win! The Panthers clipped the Texans on Eddie Piñeiro's game-winning 23-yard field goal. Sweet Caroline played, and Frank Reich got his first win as Panthers head coach.
Oh, man, I can get used to that right there. That was such a sweet feeling walking off the field to that song, to our fans celebrating a great team win. And that's really what it was. That's what we talked about in the locker room. You know, it was ugly at times, but this was a team playing as one and sticking together for 60 minutes.
It was also the first win for rookie quarterback Bryce Young, who engineered the game-winning drive.
Well, he's got some of the same magic that the guy does sitting next to you, right? That like nobody leads a comeback like Jake Delhomme, and for sure. But Bryce has that magic, and we really believe that. And he's got that poise, the same poise that Jake had, and just that quality that makes you, when Jake would step in the huddle, everybody in the stadium, not only did the team believe, but everybody in the stadium believed. And I believe that's going to be the same thing with Bryce. As he becomes our leader of this team and this franchise and this city, he's going to step into the huddle in key moments, and everybody's going to believe.
I'm Anish Shroff on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network, presented by Moist Drinkers.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's The Scoreboard on the new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right, we are back here on WSIC. You're listening to The Scoreboard, 105.9, 100.7 FM, 704-873-1400. That is the phone number if you have something you want to talk about. Oh, NFL football trade deadline coming up on Tuesday. That is tomorrow, just in case you didn't get your days right. Today's Monday, tomorrow's Tuesday. The deadline for trades is coming up. And we have already had a trade take place today, excuse me. Leonard Williams is on the move. He's going to be going to his third team. This is the second time he's been moved. He's a draft pick of the Jets. So the Giants trade him to the Seahawks. He goes to the Seahawks for, let's see here, a couple of picks, actually. So Leonard Williams had a little bit of a resurgence, I'd say, in the last couple of years. I think it was a good idea for the Giants to trade him because they're one of these teams that, kind of like the Panthers are probably going to be sellers at the deadline. So just know that this is the first of a few trades. Usually the NFL trade deadline isn't too crazy, so I expect a few more to come in. But this one's a doozy. So Leonard Williams being sent from the Giants to the Seahawks. New York gets a 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth-round pick. So that is, that's how much compensation they get for Leonard Williams. That's a good compensation too, because he's a player that, yeah, he's really good, but a first-round pick might be a little bit of a stretch. So a couple of picks for the Giants to start their rebuild, and for the Seahawks, after a close game, a really close game, they are able to move a little bit closer to having a defense that might really put up some numbers in the playoffs. So, look, the Seahawks played the Browns this weekend in Seattle, and they had to get some late-game heroics in there to get this win. So, Seahawks look like they might be a viable team with Geno Smith as their quarterback. Who would have thought? All right, so some other things going around the league right now. Let's update you on the Panthers division, the NFC South. Buccaneers lost on Thursday. We already knew that. They fall to 3-4. The Saints got a win this weekend. Okay, they're up to 4-4, and the Falcons fell to the Titans. Titans a whole other story here as they go with a dual quarterback system for a little bit until Will Levis just kind of took over. But the Falcons also fall to 4-4. And when you look at the standings in the NFC South, the Panthers are only 3 games back in the win column. So, like, if they win 2 games in a row, I'm not going to lie, they could be right back in the mix. It's just, I knew that this division, as we went through the year, was going to fall back to median. And look where we are. 4-4, 4-4, 3-4, and then the Panthers at 1-6, but some hope on the horizon. Don't rule out the playoffs yet. I don't know if there's ever been a team to start the season 0-6 and then make the playoffs, but it would be incredible if the Panthers were able to do that. Best game of the weekend, though, man. Did anybody have eyes on that Titans-Falcons game? First of all, worst game of the weekend. Worst game of the weekend, Jets and Giants. Oh my goodness, what a snoozer that was. No offense. We're in the rain. The stat line on that one, shoo. Do we even want to talk about the stats on this one? The New York Giants, Tyrod Taylor, completed 4 of 7 passes for 8 yards before he left the game with injury. And their backup, Tommy DeVito, 2 for 7, -1 yards. The New York Giants, as a team, total passing yards, -9. -9. And the worst part about this, you have a team that can't move the football. They were leading with a minute to go. The Jets have a couple of big plays, kick a field goal to tie the game, and then end up getting the win in overtime. So that was the worst game of the weekend. The best game of the weekend, I'm telling you, it was that Titans-Falcons game. Boy, oh boy. I mean, I was rooting for Malik Willis just because he's like one of those quarterbacks who was drafted a little higher than I thought he should have been, but he's out of a college that you don't really expect. And plus, he is a running quarterback. I mean, boy, oh boy. Running quarterback, he's out of Liberty, but Will Levis took over that game. 4 touchdown passes, 19 of 29 passing, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to DeAndre Hopkins. Man. Did Will Levis just steal away the starting job from Ryan Tannehill? And here's my other question. Ryan Tannehill is not out for the season. One quarterback that is out for the season is Kirk Cousins, as he tore his Achilles. The Titans drafted Will Levis for a reason. They know Tannehill is not their future. Could we see the Vikings, who are still in the hunt for the playoffs, they're not out of it yet, could we see a Tannehill trade? Maybe he goes to the Vikings, as the Vikings sit at 4-4. They are not by any means out of the playoffs. As a matter of fact, they're right there fighting for the wild card right now. I would not be surprised if we saw a Ryan Tannehill to the Minnesota Vikings trade. It just seems like the only one that's surfacing right now. You know, nobody else is really going to trade a quarterback that, well, no, I can't see any other quarterbacks getting traded, honestly. Maybe Mac Jones if the Patriots decide not to, but who's going to want Mac Jones, you know? So look out for that as we head to the trade deadline tomorrow. We'll talk more NFL throughout the week. I know we're going to have news tomorrow, so we'll save that. I want to, before we go to the break, at least mention the World Series is tonight. Friday was game 1. Saturday was game 2. Game 1 went to extras after a home run in the 9th inning, 2-run home run, tied the game. And then in extras, who else but Adolis Garcia with another home run, having one of the most legendary playoff runs of all time. He starts it off in the World Series with a walk-off home run. Texas Rangers take game 1. And then in game 2, well, oh boy. The Diamondbacks, 9-1 was the final score on that one. So we go to today's game, back in Arizona, tied up at 1. And who else on the mound but Max Scherzer for the Texas Rangers. So that's going to be an interesting one. We'll talk baseball tomorrow. When we come back for the final segment, we got to talk NASCAR because we had the next to last race of the season. We know who's going to be racing for a championship, and there was a lot that happened. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here on the Scoreboard on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. Stay with me. Back after this.
There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way. on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Thanks to everyone who came out to the WSIC yard sale in Statesville. It was so much fun to celebrate with the world-famous Pat Shannon and the entire community. Love bluegrass music? Chatham County Line is coming to Kane Center for the Arts Friday night. Buy your tickets before they sell out. kanearts.org. Chatham County Line, this Friday night. Doors open at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8. kanearts.org. The 20th Annual Pumpkin Fest is this weekend in downtown Statesville. Starting at 10 a.m., come out to downtown Statesville for Pumpkin Fest, a full day of fun for the entire family. Pumpkin Fest, downtown Statesville, Saturday from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. For more info, visit downtownstatesville.com. Santa is coming to town. Schedule your time to take pictures with Santa at Birkdale Village. Spots are limited and must be scheduled in advance. Santa will be at Birkdale between November 19th and Christmas Eve. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from a professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit birkdalevillage.com. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays now through November 19th. Time travel to a land of legends. Jousting knights, mermaids, fairies, dragons. Oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last. Don't miss it! The Carolina Renaissance Festival is sponsored by Sunbelt Rentals for all your equipment rental needs. Equipment service guaranteed. Huzzah!
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. As you head through the evening, the clouds will continue to roll in. We're going to have an overnight low of 45 with mostly cloudy skies. Tuesday is going to be cold and rainy, especially in the morning. 60% chance of precipitation, mainly before 10 a.m. Otherwise, cloudy skies and a high only getting up to 50. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
76 years strong, and we're still the one. WSIC. News. Talk. Now.
Todd Stearns here. Stay on top of the local elections by listening to WSIC. Great folks like Senator Vicki Sawyer, Representative Jeff McNeely, and join me for national election coverage weekdays noon to 3 on WSIC.
Now, more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, final segment on this Monday. Oh, what a good day it is. It's a beautiful day. Oh, I love today. It's Monday. I know, there's not that much to be happy about, but I'm just happy today. It's a good day. Good things happen sometimes. Sometimes really good things happen. And you just got to smile and say, ha! That's awesome. One of those things is NASCAR playoffs that's happening right now. Yes, we know who's going to be racing for a championship on Sunday. Let's go through this because, oh boy, it is a young Final Four. Here is your playoff Final Four order. Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and William Byron. They have moved on and will be competing for a championship on Sunday. There was a lot to unpack with this race, but who better to let unpack this race than, well, our friends over at MRN. Here is your 1-minute recap if I can punch this up, I would hope that this would play. It looks like it's supposed to. Here is your 1-minute recap from MRN this Sunday from Martinsville.
500 laps it is, the Xfinity 500, and we are under the green flag.
Trouble back straightaway, lap cars tangle right in front of Denny Hamlin. He slides through by a whisker on the outside. Alex Bowman gets turned.
Denny Hamlin will win stage number 1 of the Xfinity 500.
Ryan Blaney in the Ford Mustang has gone to the point over Denny Hamlin.
The big penalty you talked about was Martin Truex Jr. He'll fall to the tail end of the field, got busted for speeding exiting pit road. Green and white checkered flag. Top 10 finishers will earn points, and it'll be Ryan Blaney.
Gibbs is all over his bumper. Oh, he gets hit by Joey Logano. They checked up going into the corner, and around goes Gibbs.
Eric Almirola has taken over the top spot here at the Martinsville Speedway.
Outside lane prevails. Ryan Blaney to the lead. Checkered flag is out. Ryan Blaney wins the Xfinity 500 at the Martinsville Speedway. Ryan Blaney and Team Penske, part of the Championship 4 at Phoenix.
That is how the race sounded if you were listening to MRN. And boy, listen, when I was watching this race, I couldn't believe how many times they were talking about Ross Chastain and what Ross Chastain did. And Ross Chastain rode the wall, and he got into the Final Four, and it was one of the greatest moves you'll ever see in NASCAR. And then the announcer's going, and then they banned it. And look, everybody, I think, is in agreement that it had to be banned. There is absolutely no way that we can have that ever happen again. But, like, it was cool. It was fun. I liked it, but it wasn't something that you want to see. But here's what Ross Chastain had to say on Sunday about how the Hail Melon impacted his life in the long term here.
The notoriety, the publicity of it was great for the sport, I think. You had your negative people, but people are going to be negative about anything. So we embraced it. It's not what defines us, but it's a really cool part of it. I think getting that win at Nashville this year really solidified that that wasn't going to be our all-time greatest thing to happen. We're going to continue to win cup races, and that's going to ultimately allow the Hail Melon to just be a really cool brick, but it's not going to be what Trackhouse is all about.
And he's right. He is going to win a lot more races, but he only got one win this year. And because of that, and because he didn't really advance in the playoffs, I feel like they just had to, they just kind of had to, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. Oh, let me gather back up. So Chastain, he only got the one win, but because of that, and him not advancing in the playoffs, they really harped on this move that Chastain did because, look, it's something that they needed to talk about, I guess. They talked about it in the spring when the last time they went to Martinsville, but they had to bring it up again because it's a championship 4 race. And Ryan Blaney ended up getting the win. He didn't need to win, but he did end up getting that win, racing down Eric Almirola. I think that final green flag stage was like 150 laps. It was crazy. And look, Blaney was the fastest car. And this is something that I noticed at Martinsville this weekend that I don't even know. I don't think they did it in the spring really, but even Denny Hamlin, who was eliminated, finished third, had the second best car in the race, finished third. But look, Denny eliminated. He was running by himself, running the high line at Martinsville. Now, I don't know if it's like a different thought process or if it's just the cars that they have now where the high line at Martinsville actually seems to work. But Denny was doing it not only when he was, side by side with people, but he did it by himself. And he was making time and he was running good laps with it. So I thought that was just a little interesting thing that happened during that race. Also, boy, did anybody see the Xfinity Series finish? Oh my goodness. It was insane. So you had Cole Custer on fire on the final lap. I mean, there was a massive wreck coming out of 4. People were wrecking. Justin Allgaier ended up getting the win in the race. I think it was Austin Hill who was there kind of wrecking people. And, people were hurt. People were spun. Cars were on fire. People in reverse trying to get across the finish line. I was just waiting for one of them, just one of them, to get out of their car and run across the finish line because, man, pull a Carl Edwards, pull a Ricky Bobby. You raced 500, you raced 499 and 9/10 of a lap at Martinsville. Just get out and walk the rest of it. And that should always count. If you get up and walk across the line, it should count. But boy, that was an interesting finish to the Xfinity race at Martinsville. So here's how the Xfinity playoffs shake down now. You have Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, John Hunter Nemechek, and Cole Custer. The thing about Cole Custer, Stewart Haas Racing, they didn't have a good year in the Cup Series this year. They really didn't. And they did not send Kevin Harvick off with the farewell that they would have liked. But in the Xfinity Series, they have a driver in the Final Four. And look, the Xfinity race at Phoenix is always crazy. I think it was last year where we had the pass for the win on the last lap by Hemrick. Might have been 2 years ago. And he won a championship with that desperation. I don't really know if it was even a desperation move. He just drove it in, made it stick. And, it's kind of a moot point there as you're banging doors coming to the line. Who's going to get there first? But the Xfinity Championship should be pretty good. And, we got to give a little bit of love to the Truck Series because they will also be finishing their season this weekend at Phoenix. That race, though, qualifying for that is going to be at 6 o'clock on Friday. And then the race, get this, the Craftsman Truck Series Championship race, Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern. Ooh. I don't love it, but I guess I understand with the Saturday lineup of Xfinity and Cup doing championship stuff, you really don't want to squeeze 3 races into 2 days. So it makes sense. But that championship is Friday at 10 o'clock. Yeah. And here are the drivers going for the championship in the Xfinity Series. You have Corey Heim driving for Tricon Garage, Carson Hocevar for Nice Motorsports, Ben Rhodes with Thor Sports, and Grant Enfinger with GMS Racing. Grant Enfinger, Ben Rhodes, they've been there a while. Hocevar, Heim, they're kind of young. And Carson Hocevar, if you hadn't heard, he has been driving the 42 car in the Cup Series after Noah Gragson was let go. He is officially going to be driving that car next year. So it'd be awesome to be sent off from your Truck Series career with a win in the final race and in the championship race. We didn't really have enough time to get to. I wanted to talk a little bit of MLS because we do still have playoffs going on, even though Charlotte lost. We had some games. New York Red Bulls, who beat Charlotte FC, they ended up losing the next week. So can we really be that upset? They played Cincinnati, who is the 1 seed, best team in MLS this year. And then we had some college football things going on. There was a report. This was a fake report, but there was a report that Michigan had rescinded Jim Harbaugh's contract extension, but then Harbaugh at a press conference said that report is not accurate. So we'll talk college sports tomorrow, and we'll also preview some Phoenix stuff, talk about the World Series. Game tonight, game number 3, starting at 8 o'clock. So make sure you tune into that. Last thing I'll leave you with, today is the sports equinox. Huh? What? Football, baseball, hockey, and basketball. Everything going on tonight. It is the only day of the year until, I guess, I don't know, next year. It's the only day we have that. Thanks for joining me on the scoreboard here today. We'll see you next time.